right, everybody. Now that Andrew stepped away, we can get started. So it's perfect. I hope everybody's fantastic. Welcome to another episode. Today, some very interesting stuff has happened here recently. I don't know if you were back in the early 2000s when the dot-com boom came forward and people started to sell website technology and SEO kind of came about a few years later. At that particular time, Google really wasn't much, but Google started its basically wanting to give the best results. That's how the people that started Google really wanted it to perform. So they wrapped it around the technology, did their best to be able to give the most accurate search results. At that time, really there was no control mechanism there. So there was two different types of fronts in that world that were offering to make websites appear more readily on that particular forum. Google, Yahoo, back in the day, it was AOL. I don't believe Microsoft might have had some kind of an Internet Explorer search. But at that time, the way that you would score really big on those pages, you could do something called black hat strategy. So if you look at the cowboy western days, white hat SEO strategies would be a good guy, a guy that's doing it the correct way, not trying to trick anything. A black hat strategy would be somebody that would maybe try to trick the search engines, and at that time it wasn't difficult. You could take literally hundreds or thousands of the same keyword or keyword phrase, build it into a particular page of your website and publish it. And before too long, Google would then recognize your particular brand, your business, whether it's Realty One Group, for example, if that's what you're trying to score for, or just a basic name like Andrew Sherman or whatever, Andrew Sherman Real Estate, if there was a lot of competition in that market. But what would end up happening is you would end up showing up above the fold, and above the fold in the SEO and that type of world means if you have a newspaper and you fold it in half, when you pick up that newspaper, it's folded. Being above the fold would be basically on the top half of page one. In the world of the internet and looking online, above the fold means being the part of the screen you see. So above the fold changed when we started getting the technology on the phones, right? So this particular screen is going to be a lot smaller, a lot different than these large screens I have in front of me versus where you guys might be sitting. You might have an iPad, you might have a small Apple computer, whatever, so that above the fold might be different in everybody's circumstance. But that was the point, right? You wanted to have your business appear above the fold. And I only say this because there's a lot of now new people out in the world that are selling this technology, and this is the way to keep yourself safe. The way that it worked back then, Google got really smart really quickly, and they started changing it so you weren't able to score a lot with regard to search and have yourself show up on that first page above the fold without a little bit of work. That work really hasn't changed too much. They look at people, there's ways to do it. So there's systems in place that can take your particular real estate brand, let's say Realty One Group Success, and it'll make sure that all of the listings are correct for it. And that's done by a couple different systems. You have Yext, you have a few others. I have it in my agency to be able to take somebody's name and business and make sure all the profiles are the same. That gives that business more weight and more validity. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just make sure whatever systems you have out there, if you have a website, make sure that that's dialed in. If you use a website through your company, whether it's Realty One or another company, they give you a website. There are ways to go in there and really build out each and every page, but it's time consuming. It takes time. But the most beautiful thing that has happened, and what we're going to talk about today, is the way artificial intelligence, the ChatGPT, the Grok, whichever one you happen to use, it was made for this, because then you can ask the right questions and then get responses in the formation of text, and you can then copy and paste that text into the correct places on your website to get you just an incredible boost in traffic. From this moment on, since AI has started, this is what I want you to remember. Search engine optimization is still a thing. It still is something to be paid attention to. A lot of the large language models still go to Google, still go to the other search engines out there to obtain information. That being the case, they've trained on that data. So search engine optimization is still something you want to provide. These are very factual information, not so much thinking involved. Who's Patrick Rock? Well, he's a real estate agent, a real estate broker in Santa Clarita, California. Who's Andrew Sherman? Well, and then that follows who you are, who I am, who everybody is. That's more facts response. But if you go to a large language model, and now you're asking them, you're saying, hey, listen, I need to tell me about Andrew Sherman in Santa Clarita, California. If Andrew's the only cat with that name assigned to Santa Clarita, more than likely it's going to find all the real estate data on him. It's giving more of an answer, more of a thoughtful answer versus where search engine optimization gives you more facts. It was up until maybe last month, Google, when you would Google something, now it's kind of everywhere now. Before last month, you saw it. It was their AI, Gemini response. Now it's there. Now you see it. So now when you're asking the question, that search engine is now producing information more than just giving you an answer. The question I've had, and I've tried to find this out, but people are being very quiet about it. At the very beginning, when you would run a Google search, I mean, the 2000 when it came about, you would run a Google search. There were no ads or sponsored results that popped up. You didn't see anything. You actually just got the top results. That's was there. Then, of course, they figured it out, right? Oh my God, we can make a boatload of money from this. So let's go ahead and let's charge people for it. So now you Google pay-per-click. And then so many companies came out of that particular market, the marketing advertising, because if in the day you bought so many credits to the pay-per-click, you could resell those credits, and it was almost like investing into stocks. You had these credits. So if one company went to you and said, we can do this at, a month, give you this much exposure, this many clicks, another company might have just gotten onto the scene. Maybe they don't have that kind of buy that much credit into that company. So you can see where that goes. But that was basically at the beginning of Google. Right now, the search engines, the ChatGPTs, the Geminis, and the Groks, there's no monetization, at least now. And I'm sure they're working on it. I know for a fact they're working on it. How that's going to look for us, I don't know. But right now, it's pretty clean. The results that it gives, though, you'll see that if you're asking for something on ChatGPT, it carries a tag past the domain name it gives you. So let's say, I'll selfish plug, Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence. That's not that old. Now I'm scoring page 1 in most results, but when I ask ChatGPT about it, it gives me my website when I'm logging in from an incognito search. So it doesn't have my history, so it's more clean. It's still assigned to my VPN, but it's as clean as I'm going to be able to run here versus going to a library. But once I run that search, what pops up is it'll say Santa Clarita artificialintelligence.com. Then it'll have some more alphanumeric sets, some letters, some numbers. That's going to be given when I click on that. That's going to be given some kind of notice to where I came from. I was searching on ChatGPT, using it kind of like a Google, asking the question. Once I click, then there maybe not monetary type credit, but at least it gives some authority. This is how many people that have been using ChatGPT, that large language model, to search for your business. So maybe in the future, when they start to monetize that, they'll call me and say, oh my gosh, 53 businesses search, 53 people per month search ChatGPT and pull up your business, and then we refer them so you can pay us money for that sort of thing. But right now, there's nothing there. So today, the point of today's show is to do a couple things. First, I'm going to give you a massive bonus, and I'll go ahead and give it to you now. Bing is a big deal. Bing wasn't a big deal. Bing has like Google Places. If you're watching this, we've talked about this before. Having a Google My Business listing is incredibly important. The verification process is kind of a pain depending. So if you're at Realty One Group and you're using Realty One Groups as your office address when you're establishing a Google My Business listing, you might need to provide further information. Sometimes they want you to verify it with a video. So when you're logged into your Google My Business profile, they're going to mandate you do it from your phone. And then from your phone, it's going to use the GEO or location technology, and it's going to then establish that you're there. that you're filming the outside of the business, the street signs, the neighborhoods in the area, and you're walking into the business and you show your workspace. This is Connor MacIvor's workspace at Realty One Group. And then that verification usually is complete at that point. It takes 5-7 days. And then now I'm showing up on Google My Business for that particular address, because that's what we for as being a member of a real true brick and mortar mortgage business versus type real estate company, which, they're out. Problem with it, there's no verification. So there's a lot of money expended to be able to either get some kind of a local office, local address, actual real office location, which the USPS knows. To get that verification is more difficult, but it is possible. But it makes it easier with the setup we have here. But okay, so back to this. I talked about Bing. Bing's hugely important to get your business verified with, because why? Microsoft and OpenAI are in it together. Whenever apparently their deal's done, as soon as OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, as soon as they figure out artificial general intelligence, apparently that's when they get to move on. But there's a massive payout, from what I understand, required at that time. So I don't know if they're really going to come to Jesus on that, if they're ever going to say they've gotten there till it's too late and they've super passed that. And now they have artificial superintelligence. So there's a lot of inner workings there. But because they have that relationship with Microsoft, the relationships there, Bing is going to be very important as it relates to how you're going to show up in search. So if you haven't gone to Bing, let me do this real quick, just so we can all be on the same page. I'll share my screen and I'll jump. Let me find the right screen. I only got 50 open here. No, that's that one. What's this one? This one looks good, I think. Yeah, we'll do this one. So here's my. I can just get a nod from any. Thank you very much, Andrew. You are awesome. All right. So here's something that we need to work on. So we're going to go to Bing. It's not great to do it this way, so my Chrome browser tied in with a search, but this will be Bing. So this is Microsoft Bing. Go up at the top. The URL is bing.com and so on. And I'm already logged into this, but here I asked earlier, this is cute, list my business on Bing. So maybe you can do that. Here's the issue. As you can see, you just don't get that first result. You get a bunch of other crap. You get the Yelp for Business and list your business on Bing. God, it really makes you want to click there, but it takes you right to Yelp so they can have you pay. Then the next one's Bird's Eye. It's some other company that does some kind of your business listings. All this stuff costs money. Next door, well, Yelp doesn't really cost money, but they're going to harass you once you sign up, because they want you to pay money, and they're going to tell you that they have all these local agents in your market that are just, making bazillions hand over fist, and you should pay them too. Next door, another company. I think that listing's probably free. I haven't investigated this much lately. I know I looked at it before. They were allowing real estate agents to get on board. Maybe that's something to look into. The more you have placement there for your business, doesn't hurt. There's a system on Yext that you can get, and I think on mine, I think I pay $30 a month through Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence to have that planned out. I can do that for you as well, but that aligns it. You can also do it yourself. All right, so here I'm still going, and I still don't see what I'm looking for. So here's the one. Just so you know, Bing, places for business. Google's is very similar. Let me Google's this real quick. I'm logged in, so forgive me. You're going to see stuff that I punch up, but let's do. I love donuts. What is it? Google My Business. See what this looks like. So Google My Business. That's what this one looks like. Google Business Profile. Business.google.com. And there's so many tricks out there. You got to really be careful. So that's where Google's is. This is Bing, places for business. So you click on this. And then it's going to ask you, so this is the Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence business here. Basically, you would go back. Let me pull a transparent search quick, or an incognito search. Give me 1 second. Let me switch it. So now you should see an incognito window. And then we're going to go to bing.com. We're going to go to list my business on Bing. Again, same deal. I'm not logged in now, so now we'll see more of a clean thing. I'll walk you through just a couple here. So you'll land on this page, Bing Places, and then existing user, new user. If you haven't done this yet, then of course you're going to be new user. There's going to be a couple different steps. It's going to want, if you already have your business on my Google My Business profile, I don't know if there would be any negative clicking on that and then having that information populated. You just want to make sure it's going to be very much the same, whatever you end up doing. Or if you want to claim or add your business manually. One of the things you're going to need is, of course, select your type of business. So small or medium, chain, online. I manage business listings on my client's behalf. So if you're a marketer, advertiser, that's the one you would select. But we'll go here. You'll put in your phone number or these different locations. If your business isn't there, let's see, am I on there? How embarrassing. Let's see if it even pops. Nope, doesn't like that. So it's a phone number or, yeah, didn't find anything that phone number. So I'll probably have to do the real estate end of it. But right now I did the artificial intelligence one, kind of moving into the real estate. But anyway, that's another story. Okay, so here's to choose. So you'll create a new business. And then from here, it's going to ask you to do, I'm trying to find the right camera. It's going to ask you to fill out some verification. If you have a Google account, great. If you have an actual vanity email or some kind of an email attached to your business, Connor at Santa Clarita artificialintelligence.com, or Andrew at, not Gmail or not anything else, but Andrew at andrewsherman.com or whatever it is your brand happens to be in your business and real estate, use that. And even if you already have a Microsoft account or another, it's going to give your business more validity. OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, is in it with Microsoft. So this is going to start becoming a big deal for people that are using ChatGPT. And for right now, they might not be well, they're pretty close to the best. That's where they are currently. Some of the other language models and AI that's really, really close to them, they might only have a few decisions away to trumping them. That's how quickly this market happens to move. But anyway, this is super bonus. You really want to get on Bing and make that happen. So there's that. So let me jump back to sharing the other screen so we can continue with our show. Very good. So let's see, we have this one popping up as well. All right, so now we're back. So we did that Bing thing. If you're not on My Business, you're going to definitely want to do that as well. So we have this. Let's see. We had the Zoom, ChatGPT. Okay, so today we will talk how to build your own agent. In addition, the two things that I wanted to mention before I getting into how you build your own agent and the prompts to use is, remember, when you're writing content, when you're writing social media, there's three things you have to pay attention to. The first one was, I'm Connor MacIvor, a real estate agent. I'm in this city. This is my brokerage. This is my license number. This is my phone number. That's how you get scored for search engine. And then with the right hashtags, maybe a little bit more information, maybe a bio about me, the simple stuff. AEO, or answer engine optimization, that's where the AI systems are going to be pulling most of their data from. That's a conversation. Let's say Andrew's my real estate agent. I'm Andrew's client. A conversation between myself and Andrew would be perfectly appropriate to have publicized. Even you can ask ChatGPT, hey, give me a conversation between myself and a client who happens to be buying a house. I had one, and then maybe you can describe a past experience and had it amplify it or make it better. Now you almost have a Q&A back and forth, like some kind of an audio script, and you can take that and plug it into a blog post or your website as pertinent information. You can have an AI read it for you, make that your AI script, and you can use CapCut or one of these other systems, as we'll talk about in future shows about how to make that specific content. But now those AI systems are going to pull on that because artificial intelligence likes the conversation. It likes the answers that people give. I ask Andrew, is now a great time to buy real estate? And then Andrew's going to give me the rundown whether it is or isn't. I know him, so it's not all going to be flowers and sunshine. If the market's not the market, he's not going to bind his reputation to some crappy answer that's selfish in nature that you're easily able to go verify with some other source, right? So you want to make sure that you're not giving bad information, because it's not Wizard of Oz anymore, where we had the guy behind the curtain that nobody knew what the hell he was giving information about, but people bought onto it. Now people are so easily able to search these different forums and find out whether is now really a good time and why would that be. As long as you justify your answer, I think that's appropriate. Yeses and nos, those binary answers, don't work anymore. All right, so that's answer engine optimization. And the other one, the last one, paid to, and that's why these local searches are important to have your business embedded in Google, because it's all geolocational. Also with Bing, that's also geolocational, is a GEO, basically a geographical engine optimized placement for your business. Bing is going to have you placed on a map. You're going to be able to get a link or some kind of a proximity code for your business. Google does the same thing. So if you have your business, so Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence, I have it out of the residence. That's the local business. It still gives me that geolocation by zip code. You, on the other hand, if you're a local business, have your own, shingle hung somewhere, actual brick and mortar location, or a real estate agent using your brokerage, that's great. So then you can use that as your geolocational position. So when you're writing content, you always want to make sure that you use that business page. And I'll give you an idea. Let me find this one real quick. So this is mine. To be able to get the link that is important to use, you're going to want to find where the map happens to be. Give me just a second. So once you find the map, see this share here? This is mine. Share. This is that link you want to use. You can also embed a map when you're writing out blog posts. That's great. But this is the link that's going to be most appropriate for most of the content you're writing. If you're asking for an update to talk about real estate, what's happening in your market, we're going to get it. I'll show you kind of how to put that together, building your own specific agent on one of these large language models, but that should be part of that process. Remember a few shows back, I asked you to prepare a Google Doc, and that Google Doc or some kind of a Word document somewhere, depending on what you use, that has all of your information, your name, your address, what your location is on Twitter. If you've got 53 different Google, Facebook pages for your business, you need links to all of those. If you have different Instagram accounts, if you have different TikTok accounts, LinkedIn, different businesses, all of those URLs, the actual .coms they happen to be, or whatever, you want all those addresses built into some kind of a Google Doc that you can share with the large language model so it can extract and pull those and then link to specific text. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. So that was what I grabbed that link from the map. It's not really on the homepage, funny, but this link, the one where your location happens to be, that's the big deal. That's going to give you extra validity when you're doing a social media post. The Google Doc that I talked about has everything about your business. So I have a lot of Google Docs. You're going to want to get Google Docs are going to be incredibly important for various things. And all of your Google Docs are going to have the information that you're going to need to provide background for the large language models. Right now, the memory isn't great on these things. Fast forward a few months, more than likely it's going to be able to retain memory. So if we all lived another 60 years from now, which I'm hoping, I could go back and it would remind me of this show that I did, who was present and what interactions I had and what was said, just kind of keying off my memory, because it's going to remember every interaction I had over time. I won't need lock, it'll know everything, but I still have to remind it occasionally. Okay, so now we're going to talk about these custom GPTs. If you're a ChatGPT person, the GPTs are here on the left, and you're going to want to, basically you would find, give me one second here. So you would click on Explore. On the right-hand side, these are the ones that, and these are kind of cool. If you haven't messed with any of these or looked at them, there's a lot of information here. A lot of these blow by the typical token responses or the amount of content that you'll get in a typical interaction with ChatGPT. Why you might want more. So I like my blog posts to be at least 2,500 words, not characters, but words. Sometimes it cheats. I'll ask it to work on a blog post. I'll give it information that I've gleaned from the multiple listing service. I try to use only public information, because you start putting in information that's privatized or having confidential remarks in there. I think liability wise, you're stretching yourself. So I would just use the public stuff. But whatever you have it produce, if it's 5,000 words, that's going to take you, 10, 15 minutes through. You want to verify all that content. But so you can look at these. Some of these produce some pretty good stuff, but you want to go to my GPTs. This is a list of the ones that I've put together and have. But let me back up and then have you go to create. So this is where you create that one. In Google Gemini, they're called gems. So you're going to explore gems. And here you would ask for a new gem. And then you're going to get the name of this gem and instructions. As you can see, the ChatGPT is a little bit more detailed, but all of them pretty much have the same resource. In fact, the files are what's important. That bio I talked about, that Google Doc that has all of your locations, all of your addresses, information about you and your business, it's perfect for this. You plug it into one of these. Here on the ChatGPT, you would click on the upload file button here. On Gemini, of course, you would click on add knowledge base to it. So now it has that information. On Grok, where are we at Grok? Give me just a second. So here all the on Grok they call it projects. These are my project agents. I have ones that do different things, but you would create a project, and here is the name and the instructions. What's great about these large language models, and I'll give you another bonus tip before I get into how I did it, but you go to let's say AI, and on OpenAI, you can prompting is how you interact with it, the question you ask. If you ever watch iRobot with Will Smith, when he's interacting with a deceased doctor, the way that he speaks with the doctor, in some cases, that it doesn't cue the doctor's memory from the artificial intelligence realm where he uploaded his persona or his consciousness to, and he keeps telling him you're not asking the right question. But once you get the question right, which is the prompt or the request, once you get it right, it's going to give you some wonderful stuff. But if you go at it like, somebody that it's not going to give you great results. So why not just ask it for the right prompt and then look and learn from it? A lot of people aren't even talking about that. So I want you to write me a prompt that I can build a chat GP, a custom. I am a Santa Clarita real estate. Just very simple. Didn't ask much. Let's see what it says, because now it's been trained on all the world's data, and it's probably been asked this a bazillion times. So let's see what the prompt says. Oh, and the longer it takes to do this, which is hilarious, the longer it takes to produce this, you know how busy this is. So sometimes it takes a while. So go. It already knows information about me, so it's retaining the memory. It knows some of my online personas. It knows my Google Doc as well. But this is what it says as far as the prompt. It's going to know who I am, so it identifies me, so it knows who I am, so it's producing whatever I'm asking for. It has that information. The core objectives it came up with, it's going to understand intent by different people that might be seeking out my services: buyers, sellers, investors, renters, so on. This is how I like it to answer. It might be pulling off of memory, or it might just be coming up with this. You'll have to punch into yours and see it. If you have a free one, it still does this. Deliver answers, the neighborhoods, inventory trends, timelines, lending steps, escrow contingencies, capture lead info. The voice and style, this is something that you can modify if you want it to be sarcastic, if you want it to sound like a 1960s diner waitress, you can have it sound like that, where she gets kind of crassy, which is cute. I mean, some people like that. Any kind of voice AI systems. On mine, I have almost 50 voices that I offer to people. So you can choose if you want somebody to have an Australian accent, be a female, and then be quirky. You can have that pulled up also. So guardrails and compliance. This is what's going to be very important here. If you're looking for real estate, and this is already built in here, but you're going to want to make sure you're not producing bad information. Let me plug and see it, and I'll share the doc with you. Well, you just change this stuff. You don't have to use it. Let me just do this real quick. I'll show you. Let's see, 09292025. I think we're at class 6, if I'm not mistaken. And then let's share to everybody. We done? Right. So Let's go back. I'm sorry. Let me copy the link. So anybody that has the link is going to be able to use it. So are you guys familiar with the chat? In the chat, I'm going to dump the link in the chat. I'll put the notes in there. So whenever you want to go back, you can just go into the chat and grab this link, and you'll see this is how mine has been formatted. But the most important part was really, as I just mentioned, when they started talking about the actual guardrails, fair housing, never steer, provide objective information, offer resources evenly across all protected classes. It's a big deal. These large language models, they're all pretty good now. You might get one to hallucinate every once in a while. God forbid you publish something they hallucinate online. Attorneys, they were going after auditors, they were going after real estate agents. Once they changed the rule and said we had to have our license number on particular media, it was a free for all. Attorneys were going after all of us. I've been doing this since 98. Even before that, the car dealerships, when they said you had to have a certain VIN number, the last four of a VIN on an ad, they closed down so many mom and pop car dealerships because the attorneys got hungry and went out there and just started nailing everybody. But that's how that gets ChatGPT. That's what it responded to in the prompt about how to build the agent. And the same thing happens on the others. What then happens is once you have make this, I'm going to copy this. So I copied that. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to put the instructions in here that I just copied. It's actually more than 8,000 characters, but we're right at the end, it looks like. So this is the information it gave me. And then we just name it, whatever. Do custom GPT training, and we'll do today real estate GPT. I don't know if it's going to let me. Something happen. And then the upload the file. Oh, error saving draft because I switched screens, I think. Let me go back. So it's giving me a bump up. It's saying that I can't be more than 8,000 characters. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. I apologize. Make this less than 8,000 characters. So then I just asked it to make it less than 8,000 characters so it'll fit. That's the bump I'm getting. That's why it's telling me it's not going to work. So once it does that, I will take that information and plug that back into that the custom GPT, and I'll have it work from there. Some of this, you could also take this entire doc, like I did, plug it into a Google Doc, and then also have it pull from that information. That's how you get much more content. So let's say you've written a book about real estate or have a manuscript about real estate, but inside of it has a lot of information about you. You can take that and upload it to this. It'll take a very, very large document. And when it's new information about the market, it'll intertwine stuff about you because it has that massive resource in there. So that's very valuable as well to know. Let's see. Sometimes when it's asking for characters, a lot of times it'll make that mistake and it won't. Yep, looks like it fit. All right, so this is today. This is real estate for fun. Conversation starters don't have. This is where you would upload your bio. And then this is what we're going to say that it can do. It can go on this, it can search. When it does this, when you give it access to go on the web and search for things pertaining to what you've written, you need to make sure that information, if it's not yours, you give the other people credit, or go back and say, I need you to rewrite this, maybe not use those resources, or maybe rewrite it so I don't get fined or in trouble for plagiarism. Again, there's a lot of ethical things to consider because the large language models are trained on a lot of other people's stuff. Whenever you have just your own content or content from the board, it's a different story. But when you're going online or having it go out and do the online search to try to give you good content, sometimes it's going to pull from Zillow. Sometimes it might pull from Redfin. Redfin seems to be high in their regard, Realtor.com as well. And you might think you're safe because you have pages on all these sites, but you know what? People sue you for a lot less. So anyway, just know that. So there's that. So that looks like I think we're going to go ahead and just push create. And then here's something else. It'll allow you to put it in the store. It knows so much about me on this one. I'm only going to allow it to be with me. But if you also had a team, let's say you have an assistant working with you, you could make a custom GPT all about you and your real estate business, and then have that shared with your the people that are working for you and then have them use that to make content. Of course, they should verify everything back with you, but at least this way, when it wrote anything or a social media post, it's already going to embed all of your information in there as potentially you may want. So that's a very simple way of making your own custom GPT. Here's the one that I just made. Give me a social media post for, I'll keep it very simple. You know what? Let's do this. Give me a prompt for a social media update for Santa Clarita. So I'm asking it for a prompt, so it's going to write something that's probably going to be better than me just asking me, for me asking it just to give it. It's gonna actually ask for, we'll just say give me, we'll just keep it simple. The proper format for an update for one of these systems, this just reminded me, emojis are great. People love seeing things that tantalize the visual cortex. Emojis are great. On some systems like Google My Business allows them. Some others, though, it might be difficult to get it to accept emojis because there can be stuff hidden inside of them. However, emojis are great. I always ask for emojis. In addition, I like the text to be sparse. I don't like it to be all crammed together in one single paragraph. That's not really good publishing. And then finally, hashtags. Hashtags are important. When you have your GPT made, it's already going to have a lot of your information. So the hashtags, it'll probably be able to give you those. So let's see what happens here. As I talked about a couple shows ago, length is important. Instagram, I think, is somewhere around 12, 1,500 characters limit. Facebook goes quite a bit longer, but I don't know if people want to see all that. You know, this is a very short, simple, free to buyers and sellers. Quick Monday check-in, new listings are trickling out across. That's vague and ambiguous, not bad. And then here are the hashtags. So this could be something that you post to your social media, and this is being pulled from my custom GPT. The thing for us as real estate agents to do, though, you can take the statistics, and I'll cover this next week. I'll get into this, but you can take statistics from the board and plug those in here. Even that small little market snapshot. Look at this one here. This is just tasty. Watch this. Let me log in here. You know how it has that widget on your homepage and it shows what's going on with inventory over here on the right? This thing here. You don't even need the picture. You can just basically copy what's inside of it and then go back to your, whichever one it was. Here it is. Give me Santa Clarita update from this 7-day snapshot. And then it'll be able to pull that information, and then it'll make you an update with the 7-day snapshot intel that you just copied and pasted into it. Oh, that's just regular ChatGPT. But anyway, your custom, it'll do this as well. This knows me, so it's going to still probably pull all the information I need. We'll see what happens. Are there any questions? Anybody need to unmute themselves and ask a question? You're more than happy to. I can cover anything and show you some of the stuff I was talking about. Today, a big deal. You definitely want to get your Bing local ad placed if you haven't. And a lot of you probably haven't, just because, or maybe you haven't tightened it up. Maybe you've moved along. Yeah, this looks pretty sweet here. You got the different percentages. You would have to verify these. It's not using any other systems except mine. So that's good too. So that's not bad. You have the information that it's giving you, the stuff I plugged into it, and then it gives you what it means. It's a quick read, fresh supply, 77 new homes hit the pipeline, return supply, 30 homes came back on the market, demand pipeline. And any one of these, you can ask it to give me more. Give me another social update with emojis, hash amplifying. So what it'll do now is it's going to then look at what I gave it, which I just copied and pasted this back on market, what it means, the return supply back on market properties. And then here's, 30 homes back on the market. Perfect for a social media update. The important thing to have is where are they going to go after they see this? Where do you have them go? On your Facebook page, that's great, but you should have a link that goes somewhere for them to give up their personal private information. That's the trick. We're not just doing this for fun. Of course, part of it's you want to be that local expert that people know. Oh my God, Andrew Sherman, he all he does is post stuff. So in the back of my mind, if I'm going to want to hire somebody in the future, well, He's the one that's constantly posting stuff about real estate. Some people have a good balance. I'm bragging about Andrew. He has a good balance too. He's got family stuff in there as well, but not, taking his last trip to Cabo in that Maserati. That's not what he puts up. He talks about real stuff, kids and, being a parent and these sorts of things, but not too much. And he's not too much in the political thing either, which, I love to say, side and argue so on and so forth, but it's my age. Sometimes when you get older, you want to do that stuff. That might not be the best thing for business. You saw what happened with after the Kirk assassination. Even with Realty One Group, they got rid of at least one person I saw because they were being very crass about the assassination. So you can align yourself wherever, just understand there's consequences. The same thing with using artificial intelligence. There's consequences, so you want to make sure the information that it produces for you is something that you're not going to get beaten up for later after you publish it. And once you publish something, pictures or whatever, they come back. They're there forever. You can go and delete it right away, but you see that on the news, this particular person, he deleted it, but we still have it, posted this, and there it is. So any questions for today? If not, I will see you next Monday. During this week, I had a couple of calls. If you want that, the actual CRM that I have to Elevate, you're more than welcome to it. I'll get you an account. I just need to know what your business name is. I need to know other information about your business. I'm more than happy to give that to you guys. That'll include the CRM. You can post stuff from social media system, which works really good. Instead of just going to one place and posting, let me show you this real quick. You can actually post one thing and then post it once and then, forget about it. So here's Postal works. You would fill out all your business information here. I just need to know you're interested in the account and I'll set you up. But you want to do it, and then there's lots of different to choose from. So I have multiple Facebook pages. I'm trying to find the right camera again. If you go to Hootsuite or Sprout Social, I believe they'll allow you a couple, but then it starts to get really expensive really quick. LinkedIn, you can do multiple LinkedIns, TikTok, Instagram, Google My Business as well as on here. That keeps that update going. It's going to be important to continue to update that, especially now with AI, because Google's Gemini, it might not be as popular as OpenAI's ChatGPT. I think they're sleeping. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. You can connect your YouTube and Pinterest. Once you do that, though, posting is relatively easy because you just fill out one and then it posts to all of them. So I'll give you this for nothing. Just let me know if you're interested. Hit me up. You can go to Santa Clarita Artificial Intelligence to do that. And are there any questions today? If not, I gave you the share link as well, so you can see the actual prompt I put in there. You can glean some information from that. Anybody need any information about getting this stuff set up? Hit me up during the week. No problem. I'll get you on a Zoom call and I'll show you exactly what you need to do if you have any questions. And if there's nothing else, let me know. I'll hold on here for just a second. Nothing new in the chat. Oh, you're more than welcome, Diana. It's a pleasure. And
Thanks,
anything,
Thanks,
you're
Connor.
more than welcome. Anytime, Andrew. Hopefully this helps. AI is moving so quick. 5.7 months, the systems double. They double in capacity, double in size. Right now, the intelligence quotient for basic AI machines on a human scale is somewhere in the 140s. Einstein was in the 160s. Elon Musk is somewhere in the 150s. I don't know where I am at, but a moron's about 80. So the space from a moron to an Einstein is only 80 points, only double, right? The math 80 to 160, yeah. So about that much. Artificial intelligence, you give it a couple more months, probably before Christmas, it's probably going to be twice as smart as, the people that are in the one. I know there's people walking around at 230, 240. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if they're good dancers or if they're good at poetry or if they're only just good at one thing. I don't know. But AI is really going to be there. People often ask me, and I get this question a lot regarding job displacement and what's going to happen. You're a business owner. You have a company with 300 people that you're paying them. You're paying them their hourly rate. You're paying, because they're full-time, you're paying them insurance. You're paying them retirement. You're paying all these different things. And then you have, somebody coming in and say, well, for all these positions, or for at least, 3/4 of them, I have something that would just the same, an AI receptionist, AI something that will answer the phone, that will, just like a human being, have all the resources, never make a mistake, and they can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it'll cost you near nothing in comparison to what it costs to have a human being work for you. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to wouldn't want that. There's no way. I'd rather keep the human unless there's some kind of laws or regulation. That seems to be the tendency. You see a lot of companies that are getting rid of people just because of that. But the problem with that is, so you have this great company, but now you got all these unemployed people. Who's buying your stuff? There's nobody to buy it. So that's the other issue. So it's almost like we're almost shooting ourselves in the foot. So there's two things. It's either the cost of doing business or the product. You can make money a couple different ways, but if nobody's there to buy your product or even pay for your service, I mean, it's great if you're the best coach in the world, but if you're charging 10 grand a month to learn from the best coach in the world, you might not have anybody that's able to pay that level. That's where AI is currently. It's just getting smarter, it's getting more intelligent, and we'll have to watch and see what's going to happen. If you have families, if you have kids, and you're one of those, no offense, but you hand them your phone or they're on some kind of an app, on some kind of going to be furries and fuzzies and little animals that are going to have onboard AI, just be careful. These little creatures, these fluffy things, are be able to talk to your kids probably about particle physics. And maybe particle physics is okay, but there's a lot of other stuff out there that we might not want our kids knowing. It's coming, and it's only going to get more and more and more. I think we're going to get busier and busier. The information comes at us so fast, it gets updated. Best you can do is protect yourself, protect those people close to you, and make sure you know exactly what these people close to you are doing when they have your phone or when they're online or when they're locked in their computer, on their computer in their bedroom. Going on, people are having relationships with AI. People, there's robotheism, which is a new religion, maybe 2-year-old religion now, but that's worshiping the artificial intelligence as a super intelligence god. It's a thing. It's just like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know what's going to happen next. Anyway, if I can help anybody, hit me up this week. I'm always here. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday for our next AI show. No questions. I will disconnect. Thank you all very much.